Avengers, assemble. Avengers Endgame spoiler review. I'm gonna keep this short, sweet, to the point. I'm not gonna be getting super in depth with this movie. I'm only gonna be talking about this movie for maybe 6-7 minutes, alright? So I'm just gonna talk about the parts that really stand out to me the most. If you have not seen Avengers Endgame, you need to leave this video right now. Hashtag don't spend or spoil the Endgame. So leave if you haven't seen it, alright? You have been warned. Here we go. So right off the bat, Tony is starving, dying on a ship out in space, stranded on the Guardians of the Galaxy ship out in space. It was kind of damaged, so they're stranded out there, and Nebula is out there with them. And I really like that scene. That scene really stands out to me. Their relationship in that scene is awesome. They're over playing table football with the little tinfoil, and he's teaching her how to play that. And then Tony offers Nebula food, but because she's cybernetic, she knows he needs it more than her because she can eat without weeks. So he takes the food, and as he's slowly drifting off to death, Captain Marvel rescues him. And it was funny, she was all magical like, she was like, which was cool, but it was kind of funny at the same time. And I gotta say, the CGI on Robert Downey Jr. to make him look as skinny as he did when he got off the ship to hug Pepper and he was in the wheelchair because he couldn't really stand up properly, that was some really, really good CGI. They did a really good job. Also, the other thing that standed out to me in this movie happens to be the time travel aspect. I like how after they find Thanos to try to get the time stone from him, he's all burnt up on the side of his face and all along his arm, and they're like, where's the stones? He used the stones to destroy the stones. And so basically, as he's about to apologize to Nebula for how cruelly treated her, Thor decapitates him and says, I went for the head. And that was a fan service moment right there for Thor. And so literally 5 years later, 5 years pass, and then Scott Lang gets out of the quantum realm. Okay, and then basically he says it was only 5 hours for him in there, but he returned 5 years later. And so he figured that they can harness this energy and use it to time travel. So they do that. They figure out a way to control it. Tony Stark has a daughter, and he married Pepper. So that was awesome to see. Like the dream that he had in Infinity War, how he said, I had a dream that we had a daughter. It happens right here. And also, what I said in my last review where I said this movie takes risks with certain characters, here's what I'm talking about. Hulk. He becomes Professor Hulk, where Bruce Banner and the Hulk merge minds. And, like, literally, you see the Hulk talking like Bruce Banner. And it's weird because Mark Ruffalo's face is there, the actor's face is there, and you can tell, but it was pretty cool to see a different version of the Hulk. And then Thor is an alcoholic potbelly guy. And he's gotten really fat and depressed because he feels like he's failed. He feels like he's lost so much. He's lost his father, his mother, his planet, half of his people, and he failed. Like, he's just in a rough spot. So once they see the opportunity to time travel and change it all, they take it. And I like how they incorporate elements from the other movies. The previous MCU films, they time travel to those films and they steal the stones from them and then they bring them back to the present time. So Nebula goes with them, and unfortunately their plan kind of goes haywire when Nebula literally, her consciousness is still there with her other version. So her memories are connected to the past nebulas. And so Thanos sees that and he uses it to find out more info about the future. And he kind of screws a lot of things up. And he doesn't screw up their plan. No. I'll get on to that later. But for the meantime, so they're all getting the stones, and here comes the first sad scene of the movie. Outside of watching Hawkeye's family die at the beginning of the movie, Hawkeye and Black Widow go to get the Soul Stone, and in order to do that, they have to sacrifice something they love, and Black Widow decides to sacrifice herself, and wow, that it's still impacting me, and I've seen it like almost 2 weeks ago. It's still impacting me. So that says something about how powerful that scene is. Am I missing something? Oh yeah, there's a very beautiful scene in the movie that really standed out to me where Tony meets his dad in the past, and he says to Tony, because he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know he's his future son or anything, he says, I would literally do anything, give up anything to ensure that my son has a bright future. And he said, I would do anything for him. And that really impacted Tony's character and impacted me as a viewer. I was like, that's powerful, yes, that's good. And so they all travel back to the future, and Thor brings Mjolnir with him because he's still worthy. And so they go back to the Avengers place and they create a Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet. And in order for them to bring everybody back, somebody has to snap their fingers with it. So Bruce Banner decides to do that, and he puts it on because he's the only one who can really handle it. So he snaps his fingers, brings everyone back. And so at the same time, the past Thanos comes to the current era because they kidnapped the future Nebula and replaced her with the past Nebula that sabotaged her whole mission. So when they brought everyone back, the moment that they snapped their fingers and brought everyone back, Nebula brought Thanos' ship from the future, destroyed the whole Avengers headquarters, and then we get to one of the best action scenes of the MCU. I'm not talking about this part right here, but I'll talk about it in a bit. It's Captain America, Thor, Iron Man versus Thanos. And Fat Thor gets his armor back on, he gets Mjolnir and the Stormbreaker. Captain America kind of tightens his shield a little bit. Iron Man has his bleeding edge armor with that one that's like with the little nanobots that can cover him up. Instead he has yellow on his legs and arms, which I gotta say is a great addition to the suit. And Thanos gives this really good speech saying, no matter what I did, wiping out half the population, people still look back at that and they don't want to move on. He says, so it's pretty much meaningless to do what I did. So he says, now I want to create a whole new future from scratch, wipe everything out. He said, I'm starting with planet Earth, and I've never taken great joy in destroying a planet before until this planet. And man, they all go at it. They're working as a team, and they all get knocked around. Iron Man gets knocked out. Thor almost dies. He's pushing the Stormbreaker onto Thor's chest, so you see it kind of piercing his armor a little bit. Then the best scene in the whole movie happens. You see Mjolnir kind of slowly lift up. And then as Thanos is pushing Stormbreaker further, Mjolnir smacks Thanos upside his head, goes back, and Captain America grabs it and wields it. He's wielding Mjolnir, and he's a natural at it. He's using his shield to throw against Thanos, and he's bouncing the hammer off the shield and he can even summon the thunder. And then he's just laying the hurt on Thanos. And then Thanos gets the upper hand and like bashes at Captain America with his blade. And then it breaks his shield in half. And then he beats the crap out of Captain America. And then Captain America fastens the shield. That's where you get that shot of him fastening the shield. And he gets back up. He's ready to fight. And then on his radio and his mask, you hear Falcon talking to him. And everybody, Doctor Strange summons portals everywhere. And you see Doctor Strange, all the heroes, Spider-Man, Wakanda, all of them, Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, and even Pepper in the rescue armor comes out. And then Captain America does this famous line, Avengers assemble. They all charge, are all beating up Thanos' army. Iron Man and Pepper are teaming up together. Spider-Man's there. Iron Man hugs Spider-Man because he's glad to see him back. And then we also get to see Star-Lord see Gamora. Well, the past Gamora. And she needs him in the nuts. And, you know, she doesn't know him at this time. But oh my gosh, this was the best action scene. And then they pass the gauntlet back and forth. First it's Hawkeye carrying it, which I gotta say, the way they did Hawkeye in this movie is the best that I've seen Hawkeye. Really great character, I love him. And he didn't like get extremely hurt in this movie. He wasn't useless. He actually did something. So he was carrying the gauntlet, and then Black Panther says, toss it to me. He carries it. When he can no longer toss it, Spider-Man takes it. So then while all that's going on, Black Widow, or not Black Widow, Scarlet Witch, she comes in and starts beating up Thanos, and then Thanos says rain down fire. They shoot the guns at everybody. They shoot the ship guns at everybody. And then Captain Marvel comes in, blows up those ships, tries to take the gauntlet off of Thanos. And then when she's trying to pull it off, he headbutts her, and she doesn't even move. She's like Superman. Like, you remember in the scene of Batman vs. Superman where he punches Superman in the face, he doesn't move? He headbutts her like that, and she doesn't even move. And then he realizes, I'm about to be in serious trouble, so he removes the Power Stone to blast her back. And everybody can't take on Thanos, and then Doctor Strange looks over at Tony and does the finger movement saying, you gotta be the one to stop him. This is one of the best scenes of the whole movie. Iron Man grabs the gauntlet, tries to pull it off of him. Thanos backhands him, and he says, I am inevitable. And snaps his fingers, but nothing happens. And he looks over, and all the stones are gone. And the nanobot technology on Iron Man has all the stones in there, and he creates his own Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet on his suit. And he says, and I am Iron Man. Snap! Thanos' army goes. Thanos dies, but the way Thanos dies is so good. He sits down and takes a deep breath, and he goes, like, well played. And then the saddest part in the whole movie happens. Because Hulk was able to handle the snap, but he was severely injured after he did it, and Tony is definitely not as strong as the Hulk, and so Spider-Man swings over and says, Mr. Stark, we won the battle, and he's trying to talk to him, but Tony's not all the way there. You see half of his face is all burnt up, and he's lost it. He doesn't recognize anybody. And Pepper says, it's okay, you can rest now, we're all safe, and Tony dies. Oh my gosh, this is still affecting me. Tony legitimately dies, and they have a whole funeral scene showing everybody he's impacted, and it's just a really sad scene. I grew up with this character, and to see him die just really broke my heart. Anyways, my gosh. Cap, because they have to go return the stones to their current times, or in past times, in order to keep balance in the universe. Cap decides to go back in time and So they went to try to retrieve him, and he doesn't come back. And then they look over at the side of the forest, and there he is. He's an old man, and he says he had a good life with Peggy. And then he gives Falcon the Captain America shield, saying that he'll be the next Captain America. And there is a bit of a plot hole there, though, because if there was no Captain America, they wouldn't have been able to accomplish all the things that they accomplished, because there would have been no need to look for him if he's already there. And they never would have found him. But that's a big plot hole, but I just left it alone because of how good this movie is. But he becomes the new Captain America, Thor goes with the Guardians, and everybody else goes their own separate ways. And then the movie ends. And this movie was incredible. It has some of the best action scenes I've ever seen in a superhero movie. Great character moments. Very good suspense. I yelled out twice in the movie theater. I never do that. Even during watching Captain America Civil War, the airport battle, I never did that. This movie made me do that. And for that reason, I love this movie. This movie is still a top tier film from when I last rated it. Probably in my top 10. No, not even probably. It is in my top 10 superhero movies of all time. It's that good. If you guys have not seen this movie and you guys are watching this, what are you doing? Why are you watching this? Go see the movie right now. And remember to subscribe today to join the Isaiahization.